In today's video, we are going to go over everything you need to do in order to sell Canva templates on Etsy. I'm going to give you a step-by-step tutorial on every single part of the process so that you can successfully create and sell your templates and be on your way to generating passive income. And if you are new here, hi, my name is Erica. I started my Etsy shop selling digital products in January, so about 6.5 months ago. I sell in the party stationery category, so think things like invites, banners, signs, really any kind of printable party decor. I have since brought in over 1,000 orders. I've built up a product database of over 400 listings, and for the last several months, I have brought in daily sales. So while I am not wildly successful yet, I deem my journey to be a very realistic but successful one. And my goal for this channel is to share a realistic, no BS approach to creating and growing your Etsy shop selling digital products. I'm not going to be the YouTuber that comes on here and tells you that you can make 10K per month selling only a handful of products or that you're going to get rich quick without having to lift a finger. What I am going to show you is all of the hard work that goes into it and exactly how to do it if you are willing to put in the effort. Because the thing about generating passive income is that it is not at all passive in the beginning. It is actually quite the opposite. Usually in the beginning, you're putting in a ton of work with little to almost no reward or income, with the hopes that eventually it will teeter-totter the other way and you can reap the rewards of all of the hard work you put in the beginning, and you can ease up on the effort you're putting in while still generating the income that you've built. But again, just remember, passive income is not built passively. So if you're looking for someone to tell you that you can easily get rich quick, then this probably isn't the channel for you, but if you are willing to put in the time and effort, hello and welcome. Now first, let's cover what exactly a Canva template is and why somebody would buy it. So a Canva template is essentially a design you create in Canva, which is a design tool, and then you sell that design to a customer that can edit certain editable elements of it and download it to use for whatever purpose they need. For example, in my niche, which is party stationery, I might create an invite, so I'll create the entire design for the invite, and then when the customer buys it, they can edit in their own name and party details to then print and send out to the attendees. Now you might be asking, why would somebody buy this if they can create it on their own? And that is a great question, and to that I say convenience. People are willing to pay in order to not have to spend their own time creating something. Not everybody is going to be familiar with Canva and know how to make the design that they want. They might end up having to spend hours in order to learn Canva and how to create that design when they could just pay a couple of dollars for the design to be already created for them and ready to use. So trust me, people are willing to buy these, and they do. There are tons of shops out there selling hundreds of orders per day, selling specifically Canva templates. Now what I love about this is that it is a digital product, meaning that you don't actually have to hold any inventory. You don't have to worry about any of the logistics like shipping and returns. You simply create your products, post them, and then just reply to customer service messages when they come in. It's something that you can create once and then continue to sell over and over. This was highly attractive to me as a mom of a toddler who can't commit myself to doing something at specific times or requiring to meet certain deadlines. Selling digital products allows me to have a very flexible schedule because I only work when my toddler is sleeping. So if you are in a similar boat as me, selling digital products is an amazing opportunity, but just remember, it is not easy and you have to be willing to put in the effort. If you watch my videos, you'll notice that I say this time and time again, but I cannot emphasize it enough. I don't want you to get discouraged if you put in a lot of hard work in the beginning and aren't seeing immediate results. But if you have the determination and willpower that it takes to push through that grind in the beginning, then I truly believe that anyone can be successful doing this. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into this very lengthy tutorial because, like I said, I'm going through every single thing step by step. We are leaving no stone unturned. I thought about breaking this up into several different videos. However, I think it's really helpful to have this all in one place so you know exactly what to do and in what order to do it. So get comfortable and maybe take some notes or save this video for later so that you can come back to it. We're going to go through every part of the process, starting at trend research all the way until you hit publish on your listing. We'll go over things like sourcing your graphics, deciding what sizes to use, creating your template, creating your download PDF, how to create something in multiple sizes, creating template links and listing photos, writing your title, your descriptions, your tags, filling out all of the listing info. We are literally going through everything. This is your entire guide of everything you need to know. Call it a masterclass if you will, but this is probably going to be my most value-packed video ever. And I do have one small ask of you. So ever since creating this YouTube channel, it has taken time away from building my Etsy shop due to the time that goes into creating these videos, which has been a little bit conflicting for me, but I think there is so much value in putting this information out there and I want to share it with other people. So if you could, I would love it if you interact with this video, whether it be a like, a comment, or even subscribing to this channel if you want to see more things like this. So without further ado, let's get into it. And as always, I will post the timestamps in the description. So if there's a specific thing you are looking for, just go to the description and you can skip to it there. Okay, so the very first part of the process is that you need to start with product research. The number one tip I can give you in this department is that you should not create based on what you like. You need to create based on what people are buying. And there are various ways that you can figure this out, and a lot of videos will tell you to use keyword research tools like eRank or Everbee, and while that can be great, the tactic I'm going to show you today is what I use the most often, and this is what I call cross-pollination. This is where you are finding a design that is consistently selling and using that design and applying it to another niche where it does not exist yet. I say this all the time, but you don't just want to copy other best-selling designs because it's not going to work. So this cross-pollination tactic that I talk about, I find to be a great way to go about creating new design ideas. So I'm going to go here into Etsy, and I'm just going to go ahead and search the theme that we are going to start with, and we are going to create a birthday invite. So that's kind of within my niche. I figured we would start there. And I already kind of knew going into this that I wanted to do something in the berry first theme. Except what we are going to do, as you can see here, is a lot of these berry first themes have to do with strawberries. I'm going to take one of these best-selling strawberry designs and I'm going to turn it into a blueberry berry first design. And this is actually how I got into selling Canva templates on Etsy. I was looking for an invite to use for my son's first birthday party. His favorite food is blueberries, and I was having a hard time finding an invite that I actually really liked. And so I created it myself. And so today that is what we are going to do. We are going to find a best-selling design of one of these strawberry berry first invites, and we are going to turn it into a blueberry design. So scrolling through here, the things that you want to look for are going to be these listings with the bestseller or popular now tags right here, meaning that they are making consistent sales. And when I'm doing my product research and I'm looking through all of these items, what I like to do is I like to think about how I would explain these products to someone if they could not see them. And what I mean by that is looking through this here. So if I was trying to explain to this product right here to someone that couldn't see it, is I would say that there is a pink and white gingham design in the background. There is an arch shape with all of the information inside of it. There are flowers and strawberries in a watercolor design. The berry first font is in a big bold design, with the other font a little bit more dainty using a sans font. Do you see where I'm going with this? So we're literally just breaking down all of the elements of the design. And scrolling through this here, and I will say that I already did kind of do this before just because I didn't want this to take too long, is I decided that this is going to be the design that we recreate, but with a blueberry theme. So the reason I chose this one is because if we click on it here, it has the popular now icon up there. So it is a bestseller. It is in 12 carts right now, but I see a lot of areas that this could be improved. First of all, this box right here does not leave an even border around the outside. I think the fonts could be better, so I think those could use some work. And then all of this information right here, it just seems very beginner, and I feel like it could be organized in a different way and using different fonts. Also, I noticed that in this digital invite, it almost looks like they just plopped this invitation size onto the mobile invitation, which is why you can't even see any of the border on the left or right. Again, I think that could be improved. Really, I honestly feel like I could redo this design and just make it better using the strawberry theme, but we're still just going to go ahead and redo it using a blueberry theme. So this is the design that I'm going to be using as my inspiration. So the next step that I do from here is I want to find where I'm going to source my graphics. I am not going to be able to find graphics like this in Canva free, so I pretty much have two options. I can either buy graphics that are already designed, or I can create them myself using AI. In the past, I was using AI a lot more often than I do now because I already had Midjourney, I was already paying for it, so it didn't cost me anything extra. However, I have recently started buying my graphics from other Etsy sellers, which I love doing for two main reasons. One is that convenience factor, like I talked about in the beginning of this video. They're usually only a couple of dollars, and it saves me a lot of time compared to having to create these graphics myself using AI. And also, I just love supporting other Etsy sellers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Etsy right now, and I'm going to type in blueberry berry first birthday clip art. So pretty much you can just type in anything that you're looking for and followed by clip art. And scrolling down, like I know I need something that has a 1 because we are going to be using that in our design, and a lot of these do. So you can see that here and in this one here too. So I am just going to look, that one looks really cute also. It has some cute little animal designs. I've bought from this seller quite a few times before, and I really like their graphics. So I think we'll go with this one. Let me just make sure it has everything that we need. It does have like a single blueberry, which I'll use for the blueberries around the border. It has the 1. It has this little, what is it called? Banner that I can put across the top up here. And it's only $2.99. So that is a pretty good deal if you ask me, and will save me like at least an hour from having to create those designs myself. And it also looks like it comes with some seamless patterns, which is great because I will use that on the back part of the design. You can also use seamless patterns if you want to give a backside to your invitation. So I'm just gonna go ahead and buy this really quick. Okay, so I just bought that clip art and I am now in Canva. We're gonna go ahead and start the design creation process. So I'm logged into my Canva account. This is a Canva Pro account. You are required to have Canva Pro in order to share template links. It is pretty affordable. I think it's around $15 per month right now, and you can save a little bit of money if you pay for the yearly option, but I definitely think that it is worth it. So you're gonna click create in the top left corner here, and we are doing an invitation. So if I start typing in invite, we want the portrait option, which is going to be 5x7. If you are making something that is not an invitation and you are not exactly sure what size to use, what I would do is search on Etsy other bestsellers that are creating that same thing and see what sizes they offer. So with an invitation, the most common size is going to be 5x7. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and upload all of the graphics that I just purchased. Okay, so I have everything uploaded over here. Some things are still loading, but I'm going to go ahead and get started, starting with the background. So I'm going to be using a blue gingham background. And I'm actually just probably going to speed up this whole design process so you don't have to watch the entire thing. Okay, real quick interruption. One thing that I want to know is that a lot of people ask me if they can use Canva templates that are already in Canva and then kind of just change some things and use that as their template that they sell. I would not recommend this because honestly, the templates that are in Canva, they're good, but they're not good enough to actually sell well on Etsy. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, once you do kind of get an eye for what sells on Etsy and what is trending, you'll understand what I mean. However, the one thing that I do use the Canva templates for is using certain elements from them in my design. So for example, the part where I am creating all of the party information, a lot of times I'll look for a design that has it the way that I like it, and I will copy that part of it. So for instance, I like this part right here and I want to use it in my design. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and bring it up here and then just delete that template design. Okay, so I think this design is ready. I like it how it is. As you can see on the design inspiration I was using, there's a lot more strawberries kind of around it, but I think it just makes it look a little bit busy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this as is. One thing that I wanted to mention in the beginning, but I forgot, is that we're gonna label this design as workspace. So that is what I label all of my drafts. So this isn't actually going to be the template design, and I will show you why in a minute. So I'm just gonna go ahead and label it workspace, berry, first, blueberry, invite. So this workspace is where we're going to be saving our listing photos, where we can play around with any future edits that we want to make if we are thinking about changing the design. So what we want to do to create our template is first we are going to lock everything that is not editable text in place. So I always like to first download my design as a PNG. That way I can upload it to my template and none of the graphics will be editable. The reason I do this is one, because I don't want the customer to accidentally mess up the design and not know how to fix it by moving the graphics. And two, I also don't want someone buying my design and then just slightly editing some of the graphics into a different place and then reselling it for their own. So to do this, here is what I will do. I'm just going to go ahead and lock everything in place here first. So I'm going to highlight everything and click this lock symbol. And then I'm just going to unlock all of the editable text. So I'm unlocking all of this here. Perfect. I'll also unlock this line just in case they want to delete it or change the color for it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this design right here. And I'm going to delete all of the text on the second design. So I'm just left with this. Now I'm going to go ahead and download this. I'm going to click share, download. I want to increase the size as high as possible. That way it is the best quality. I want this to be good quality since they're going to be printing it out. And then I'm going to only download page 2 and go ahead and download it. And then once that is downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and create a new design. And this here is going to be our template. So now what I'm going to label this is template very first blueberry invite. Now I'm going to go ahead and upload that image I just saved, and I can now insert it into my design. So we're going to go ahead and expand this throughout the whole design. I'm going to zoom in really close. Oh, looks like I accidentally have a T in this design. So I'm going to have to go back and fix that real quick. Okay, I have the correct version uploaded. So again, I'm going to go ahead and expand this through the whole design. Zoom in really close to make sure it goes all the way to the edges. You can see it's blurry right now because it's still loading, but there we go. Now the quality has come back. And now we have the basis of our design and we can insert the editable text. So going back to my workspace, I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this text and paste it into my template. Okay, and there we have the template. I think it looks really good. And now one thing that you should always do before you share your template link is you are going to want to check for pro elements. So you do not want to use any Canva pro elements, whether that be graphics or text in your designs, because if you do, then the customer will be prompted to sign up for Canva Pro or pay for those elements when they go to download their design from Canva, which is bound to lead to an unhappy customer, and we do not want that. So the way that I check this, the most easiest way to do it is to click share, then click download. If there were pro elements in here, it would say something at the bottom here, would give you a little message. So I'm gonna give an example of what that would look like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and type in heart, and I'm gonna insert a pro element here. You can see it's a pro element because it has that little crown in the bottom right-hand corner. Now if I go to share, download, it'll say right here, you're saving $1 on premium elements, and we do not want to see that message. So if I delete that and click share, then download, that message is now gone. So that ensures that I do not have any pro elements in my design. So I always check that first. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and turn this into a template link. So what we're going to do that is click share once again. And then you want to make sure you are not clicking copy link right here, because if you do that, that means you will be sharing a link that has access to this specific design, meaning that any edits your customer makes, the next customer that purchases it will see the previous customer's edit because they all have access to this specific design. And for obvious reasons, we do not want that. We want to create a template link. So to do that, I'm going to click see all, and you'll see right here, template link. Click on that, and then you'll click create template link. So now this template has a link that you can share. Okay, so now that this template is ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and create a mobile version of it. This isn't 100% necessary, and you totally could just publish this template alone, but I do think it can be helpful to kind of give your product an edge over other sellers. And honestly, I think that might be part of why that strawberry invitation was selling well. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So this is going to be a different size. So what we are gonna do first is we're gonna go to Etsy and see what size people are using for mobile invitation. So I'm just gonna go ahead and type in mobile birthday invitation, and we'll see what some of the best sellers are using for their sizes. So we have one right here. I'm gonna go ahead and go down to the description, and it should list it somewhere in here. And it says they're using 1080 by 1920. And I'm just gonna go ahead and check one more just to see what other people are doing. That one's not a bestseller. It still looks good, but we'll pick another bestseller. All right, here is another one that is a bestseller. So again, we'll go down to the description and see what size it is. Again, it is 1080 by 1920. So it seems to be that that is a common size. And so we're going to go ahead and use that. So I'm actually going to go back to my workspace. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the pages view here. And then in the top right corner, there's these three dots. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and then we'll click resize page. I'm going to go ahead and go to custom size, switch this to pixels, and we're going to do 1080 by 1920 and click copy and resize. So it will then resize that page, and as you can see, everything is a little bit thrown off here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fix this so it makes sense on this size. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the way that this looks. So now I'm gonna do what I did with the printable invitation, and I am going to lock everything in place, and then I'm just going to unlock the editable elements. Then I will just go ahead and duplicate that page, delete all of the text. Now we are going to download it. And now that that is downloaded, we will go ahead and create our second template. So I'm going to go to create and custom size. It is going to be 1080 by 1920 pixels, create new design. And then I'm going to go ahead and upload that design and input it into the template. Again, I'm going to expand it throughout the entire file, zoom in to make sure it lines up on all sides and there isn't any white space showing, which it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and just lock it into place now so that can't be moved. And we are going to go back to our workspace and copy and paste that text. There we have it. There is our second template. So that was pretty easy to do. And I do think it's worth it to resize that so it fits nicely onto a phone. That way it looks better in your mockups and for the customer. We're just going to go ahead and rename this as template berry first blueberry invite mobile. And I'm going to go ahead and create that template link again. Well, first I'm going to go ahead and check for any pro elements. So I'm going to click download. I don't see that message there. And I'm going to go ahead and click see all, then template link and create template link. So now we have both of our templates and our template links created. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create our download PDF. And what I mean by this is you need to create a downloadable file that will be your customer deliverable, because you cannot deliver your customer a link as their product that you're giving them. You have to give them a file, but really we need to actually get them this link. So in order to do that, we are going to put this link into a file, and I will show you exactly what I mean. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to create, and you can do really any size you want for this. I like to do 11 by 8.5 inches. So just a landscape standard size paper. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in here, create new design. All right, and then in this, I'm gonna go ahead and just start with a template from Canva. I'm just gonna click download and see what it gives me. And we will go ahead and use this one here. I'm going to expand this to the side so it fits. All right, so the reason I chose this one is because it has this download button, and that is the main thing that you need to focus on with this, is having a very clear download button or open template button. So I'm going to delete this phone here. You can put anything over here on the side that you want. You can put your logo, you can put a picture of your product, really whatever you want. I will go ahead and put in a logo. We'll just do kind of like a filler one for now. We'll just call it MB Designs. Okay, so that looks good for now. I'm going to go ahead and change this to thank you for choosing my shop, and then we will change this message to click the link or click the button below to open your template. If you have any questions or need any help, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Etsy. And you can make your download PDF as simple or complex as you want. You can put in links to potentially a video of how to use Canva or a printing guide or really anything like that, or you can just keep it very simple. I'm just gonna keep this one very simple. So like I said, the main thing is you just want that download button to be very obvious. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a border, which it won't let me with the type of rectangle that was. So I'm gonna create a new rectangle. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to say open template because they're not actually downloading anything. And then because I have two different templates, because we have the printable and the mobile version, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this so that we have two of them. And then above each one, I will put the size or the type of template. So for the first one, I'm going to put printable version and put the size in parentheses. And then for the other one, I'm going to put mobile version and put the pixels here, 1080 by 1920. Okay, and now I can go ahead and insert those template links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our printable version first. I'm going to click share and then template link. So I already have this template link created. I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. And I'm going to go back to this download PDF. We're going to double click on open template right here. Click these two little circles that say link. And then you're just going to go ahead and paste this template link in here and click done. There we go. You can see here it says template, very first blueberry birthday invite. And then we're going to do the same thing for the mobile version. So I'm going to go back to the mobile version here, click share. Again, that template link is already live. I'm just going to click it and click copy, go back to our download PDF, double click, click link, paste it, done. So this is all set to go. Before we download it, we're just going to go ahead and name it. So I like to name this one download and then the name of the product. So this is going to be very first blueberry invite. Now we're going to go ahead and save this, and we're going to save it as a PDF. So you're going to click share, then download, and you're going to switch this to PDF standard. The number one thing you want to make sure you do not do is click flatten PDF, because that will get rid of your links. You just want to download it as a standard PDF. Don't click anything else, and then just go ahead and click download. And you'll notice that there is this premium elements message down here. We don't have to worry about this with your download PDF because it is not an editable template that your customer is getting. So you do not need to worry about that here. You can use as many premium elements as you want in your download PDF without having to worry about the customer being charged. We're just going to go ahead and download that now. Okay, and that is downloaded, and we can test it out if we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and click open template. And there it is. So this is what the customer will see. Because I am logged into my own Canva account, it's just giving me the option to edit the template. However, the customer will see something that says like copy version of this template, where they'll have their own copy of the template. Okay, so the last thing that you're going to need to create in Canva for your product are your listing photos. And aside from your actual product, this is probably the most important thing, because you have one shot at getting your customer to click on your product, and your listing photos are the first thing that they're going to see. So this is a very important part of the process. Your listing photos can make or break your shop. So let's dive in how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to again create another new file on Canva. So I'm going to click create. Your listing photos, you want them to be at 3000 by 2250 pixels. And this is just what it says in the Etsy handbook. And we listen to whatever Etsy says. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it's going to be 3000 width, 2250 height. That's going to be in pixels. We're going to click create new design. However, what is very important to remember is that the thumbnail that the customer will see is going to be square. So you want to make sure that your entire product is in the center of your listing photos, specifically in that first one. So to ensure this without having to just like guess and check, what we're going to do is we're going to create rulers and guides. And so right now these rulers and guides are already turned on. That's why you see all these numbers up here. But if yours are not turned on, you're going to go to File, Settings, and click Show Rulers and Guides. What we are going to do is you're just going to click on this side over here, and you are going to drag this line over to where it says, let me do the math, 375. So right now it's at 373. Let me zoom in a little bit so it lets me be more specific. 375. There we go. And on the other side, we are going to put it at 2625. So I'm going to drag that back over, find 2625. There's 2626. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go, 2625. And now that area in the middle here is going to be my perfect middle square. So I want to make sure that everything in my first listings photo specifically is in that square. And then you'll notice that if I add more pages, those lines just continue to drag down. You don't have to add them each time. So we'll go ahead and get started with creating this. So this first image here, I just want to be kind of a very basic but good looking image showing the product. So what we are going to do is first we are actually going to go back and download the designs because we haven't downloaded those yet. So like I said, we are going to do that from the workspace. And I'm going to go ahead and download page 1 and 2. And actually, before we go any further, I'm actually going to create another design within here that is going to be a different version of this, because I want to show in my listing photos that the text can be edited. And one of the best ways to do this is just show a side-by-side of the way the template comes and then another version of what the template could look like after they edit it. So again, this is why I have the workspace, because I want to be able to do this all in an area where it's not going to affect the customer's template if they were to buy it right now. Obviously they can't buy it right now because I haven't uploaded it yet, but in the future, if you are trying to play around with different things, you would want it to be in a separate file. So I just went ahead and duplicated my printable version. We're just going to show on the printable version. You don't really need to show it on both. And then I'm just going to make some edits in here to show that this can be edited. So I'm going to change the name, and I'm just going to go through and change the fonts and the font colors. Okay, so I just went ahead and changed the fonts and the font colors and the name. You could change the party details if you wanted to also. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and save this version as well. Okay, and going back to my listing photos, I'm gonna go ahead and upload all of those designs I just saved. Okay, so I just uploaded all of those, and here are your options for how you can create your listing photos. What I do not recommend is just putting your product on a blank background and posting it like that, because we want this to look very realistic. Again, this is your customer's one and pretty much only impression before they click on your product. So we wanna make it look very realistic, kind of give them a feel for what it would look like in real life, and not just, again, on a blank background. So what you can do is there are a couple options for this. Canva does have a mockups app. So if you go to apps down here and search mockups, you'll see this right here. So you can open this and go down to print and click see all. And you have these options in here where a couple of these will be the size that you need for an invite. So you can use these here. So that is one option. Or you could also create your own using AI, which I have done in the past. The thing to note with AI is you can't really tell it to give you a specific size of blank paper to be your mockup. So that can be kind of difficult. So usually I would just create backgrounds, and then I would just add a blank card to be able to put my invite on, or whatever the product is on. I don't really do that anymore. It can be a little bit more of a time intensive process. Another option you can use is going to Canva's photos. And similar to what I was saying about creating with AI, is you can start with just some kind of background. So I would just type in background. Let's say I want like a blanket background. So I'll type that in. We'll try using this one here. So you can use this as a background. And then let's say you were to just put your product on it here. So does this look better than just putting your product on a blank background? Sure. But does it look realistic? It does not. And how do you make something look realistic? Let me tell you, it is the power of shadows. Shadows make a huge difference in making your product kind of come to life. I'll show you kind of the difference of what it can look like with and without shadows, and it's gonna blow your mind. But before we do that, I just wanna show you one other option for getting your mockups. And again, that can be from Etsy, just like I did with the clip art. I'm gonna go to Etsy and I'm gonna type in invite mockup. And you will have all these options pull up here. There's huge bundles. You can buy 250 in one pack. Again, all really great prices. 250 for only $2.80. Obviously, you want to kind of do your research and make sure that they are good quality. But that is a very great option. One thing to note though is that a lot of these might say that it comes as a PSD file, which is going to be used for Photoshop. So if you are using it in Canva, you do want to look into it and make sure it's something you can use in Canva. Where it would be hard to use in Canva if it's a PSD file is something like this, where it's underneath that teddy bear. You're not really just going to be able to plop your design on top of that. Whereas let's say this one was a PSD file, I still would probably be able to just put my design on top here and it would still look pretty realistic. But yeah, you just want to make sure it is something that would be compatible with Canva. Like this one here is specifically for Canva. So again, that is another great option. But we are going to go ahead and do the one where I have just the background and I'm going to add in some shadows here. So I'm going to go to elements and I'm going to type in paper shadow. And let's see all. We will use this one. It kind of makes it look like it's coming off of the blanket a little bit. I'm going to put it at the bottom and it's a little dark. So I'm going to move it up a little bit, move it behind the invite. All right. Do you already see that difference there? It makes it look so much more real, than not having the shadow. So that looks awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and lock the background into place. But because we have the mobile invitation to go with it, we want to include that in here too. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this smaller, move it over, kind of give it a little tilt, and we will put the mobile invite next to it. So for the mobile invitation, I am going to go to elements and I'm going to type in phone and see what comes up. Let's see. You can use, let me show you this option here. See how there's these frames right here? This would, in theory, be a great option because you can just drag and drop your design in there, but let me show you what happens. So you'll see that the outside edges on the right and left side get cut off, and that's because this is a 1080 by 1920 size, which is recommended because not everyone has the type of phone where the screen takes up the entire phone. So if you created a size that was specific for those phones, it wouldn't fit right on the other phones. I hope that makes sense, but that is why you don't want to just use the frame here because it will kind of throw off the sizing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to graphics and I'm going to find a phone, and we'll just go ahead and use this phone right here. So I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger, make sure it fits within my square, turn it a little bit to the side. Actually, I'm going to wait to turn it. I'm going to keep it upright for now. And I'm going to go ahead and insert my design. So I'm going to go to uploads and grab our mobile invitation, and let's see how it fits in here. Okay, so as you can see, the size doesn't take up the whole phone. Obviously, it doesn't look very realistic like this because you can see the blanket in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a rectangle, a black rectangle, and put it behind this so it looks a lot more realistic. I'm just going to go ahead and put this rectangle behind the design. I'm going to have to round the corners so it doesn't stick out. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move it behind. Looks like this needs to be a little bit taller. Okay, there we go. Move this over a little bit. Just want it to be perfect. Zoom in. Okay, cool. So this is how it would look like on a phone, and I think that looks really good. And now I want to go ahead and add my shadows to it. So I'm going to see if there's some kind of phone shadow I can use. Oh, that one looks like it could work. I'm just going to go ahead and size it down a little bit and put it behind this phone so I can't see that gray part. Okay, that looks good to me. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to the side and put it next to this invitation. Okay, I think this looks really good, except one thing I am noticing with the shadows is that the shadow here is on the bottom, whereas the shadow on the phone is kind of on the bottom and the right side. And just to make it look as realistic as possible, I want this to kind of match a little bit. So with the phone, the idea is that the light is coming from the top left, right? So that's why the shadow is over here. So I kind of want to give that same effect with the printable invite. So I'm going to type in shadow. I'm gonna give it a little shadow on the right side of it. Okay, so you can kind of see that little shadow on the right side. It's really not a huge difference, but I honestly think having shadows in the right places can make a little bit of a visual difference. So this looks pretty realistic here compared to, you know, just plopping your design on a blank background. And now I'm going to show you, first I'm going to move this over a little bit. I'm going to show you the difference the shadows make after I get this nice and centered. See, I'm really just trying to make sure it's in between these two lines here. Okay, so now watch if I were to take away these shadows. Do you see the difference between how realistic it looks in this one versus this one? I definitely do. Those shadows, like, they can be a little finicky to tweak around with in the beginning, but honestly, it makes such a huge difference and it's really not too hard. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. So this is going to be our like front page or thumbnail of the product. So this is gonna be what everyone is gonna see that is going to cause them to click on it or not. So I think this part looks good. We're gonna go ahead and create some more listing photos now. So Etsy allows you to have up to 10 listing photos. You don't have to take up all 10. Some people recommend that you do. I think if you have a bunch of very redundant listing photos that are just the same thing over and over again, it's really just not necessary. So a lot of times I'll just have maybe like 6 to 8 of them. But if you do find that it would be helpful for your customer to have all 10, then that's great. So for the next one, I'm just going to go ahead and show just the printable version. So for this one, maybe we can go ahead and use, let's actually type in, so under photos, I'm going to type in, I don't think I mentioned this before, but this is another way that you can do mockups, is if you go to photos in Canva and you just type in invite mockup, and you'll have some options come up in here. It's not a frame where you can just drag and drop, but I think that these are great as well. So this one looks lovely. Again, it's on the blanket, kind of like the one before. It kind of matches like the same color style. I'm gonna make this bigger and center it. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and insert that design, the printable version, and just make it match up with the blank paper. And the shadow is already on this one, so I don't even have to add that. So there you go. I think that looks great. That one was super easy. Now I want to show a version that is just the phone. So we will kind of do the same thing for this one. And I will type in phone mockup. There are a lot of options in here. Let's see. This one is very simple, but still looks kind of realistic. It has that shadow on the bottom and it kind of looks like it's floating. I think that's kind of cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and center that. Obviously, like I can't expand this one, otherwise the phone isn't going to be fully on the page. So what I'm gonna do to make this work is I'm gonna center it, and then I'm going to change the background color to match this color here. So I'm gonna click on the background, and for some reason when I use Firefox, it doesn't give me the option to color match it. But I can just go ahead and go down to photo colors right here, and this color looks like it's the same as that, and it looks like it is. So this makes it look like all one cohesive photo, so it takes up the entire space. So now I'm going to go ahead and insert my design into here. So there is the mobile version, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, where I create the rectangle in the background to make it look more realistic, because I don't think the white background looks as realistic. Okay, and there we have it. Now I'm just gonna add some text that says mobile size or mobile version. We'll do size included. Okay, so there is that. So we have 3 so far. So these all just show the product, and now I think we can move on to some more informational slides. And I always recommend to include informational slides in your listing photos because most people do not read the description. So you want any pertinent information that they need to know to be in your listing photos. So the first one I'm going to create is a how it works slide. So I'm gonna go ahead and title this how it works. And this is where we're gonna go over essentially like the entire process from when they purchase it until they can download it or to print it essentially. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create this real quick and I will show you what it looks like in the end. Okay, so I just completed this. So I just had 4 simple steps on here: purchase, download, edit, and then save and print. This really will help them understand that this is a template and a digital download rather than an invite that is being sent to them. This is again why I think it's really important to put these kinds of things in your listing photos, because a lot of times people will think that they're getting an invite sent to them, where we want them to know that this is something that they're going to download. And then I just put a little edit in Canva symbol down here on the bottom just to kind of reiterate that this is something they're going to be editing in Canva. A lot of people are familiar with Canva, and it just helps kind of clarify that, because you want to clarify that as much as possible. So the next slide that I'm going to include is going to say what's included so that they know exactly what they're getting. And because this one has 2 different templates that are included, this is also where I'm going to put the sizing. So I think sizing information is another thing that's really important to put in any of your listing photos. So we're going to label this what's included. And then I'm going to go ahead and insert just the photos of each of these. I don't really think you need to put shadows on these. You could if you wanted to, but this is more just an informational slide rather than being, you know, something where you're trying to show how it's used. So I do try to make these a little bit realistic to the size comparison. So like I wouldn't want to make the mobile invite bigger than the printable invite, because those dimensions would be inaccurate and you would really be able to tell when you put them right next to each other. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and center these a little bit, and I'm going to put under what's included 2 editable templates, and then I'm gonna label this one a printable version. And I'm gonna label the other one a mobile version. And then we will put the sizing underneath. So this one is going to be 5 by 7 inches. Well, this one is going to be 1080 by 1920 pixels. And that is really all you need to put there. So we'll just keep this one nice and simple. And then the next one we are going to create is going to be about the editable elements of the design. So if you remember, we locked all of the graphics in place. And so the customer cannot edit any of the graphics. However, they can edit the text. So we just want to go over what is editable in the design. So that is what we are going to label this one. What's editable? And I will just go ahead and design this real quick. Okay, so I just kept this one very simple and just made a list of what is editable and what is not. So the editable elements are going to be all of the text for wording, font, color, and size. They can add their own graphics and photos. And what they can't edit is the size and orientation of the file, nor can they edit the background and existing graphics. So I think this one is really good to include. That way they know exactly what they can and can't edit, and they don't go into it thinking that they can move around any of the graphics or anything like that. Okay, and the last slide that we are going to add is going to be the one I was talking about earlier, where we are going to show the template as it comes versus how it can be edited. We're actually going to put this one up a little higher because I just want them to see that first. That way they know that it can be edited. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a page in here. And we are going to, let's see if we can find a mock-up photo in here that has 2 invites on it. 2 invite mock-up. We wouldn't be able to use that one because we can't put it behind right there. Okay, cool. Here's 2 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one, and it still kind of matches the coloring of the rest of our photos, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and center that. And then I'm going to put in our printable version just as it comes. And then we are going to put in the one that we edited to show how it can be changed. Perfect. And now we will just go ahead and put some text in here that is kind of stating exactly what we just said. Okay, perfect. So that looks good. So we have all of our listing photos now. So we have 7 different ones. I'm going to go ahead and just stop here. However, there are other ones you could add. You could add one that is a graphic of showing that the design can be edited on any device, and you can show it being edited on a computer versus an iPad or a phone. You can add an FAQ slide answering any questions that you commonly get with your templates. You can add a printing guide. Really, the options are endless, but I'm just going to go ahead and stop right here. These are all the ones that I think that you absolutely need to have, but you could always add more if you wanted to. So now I'm just going to go ahead and download all of these here. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and label this Canva file, and we are going to label it mockups, and the name of this, so berry first, blueberry invite. Now I'm just going to go ahead and download these all as PNGs. And again, with this one, I don't need to worry about the premium elements. You can totally use premium elements on your mockup. So I'm just going to go ahead and click download. And I would highly recommend that you save these listing photos so that you can use them later anytime you create another design that has both a printable and a mobile invitation. So you're not having to recreate these every time, because that can be a big time suck. So to do that, you could always just duplicate this and then kind of replace it. Or what I would also do is click share and then go to see all, and you can save it as a brand template. So you would click brand template, and then you would click publish. So under brand here on the left, you will see your brand templates, and then you could just click on it and then click use this as a brand template, and we'll create a new file of this template. Okay, so now let's actually get to the listing part. So we are almost there. I know this has seemed like a lot, but again, once you get these systems in place, things go a lot more efficiently. So let's get to the fun part. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Etsy. And then we're going to go ahead and add a listing. And if you're wondering, like, why is it showing that you have no listings? I thought you said you were an Etsy shop owner. Are you a liar? This is actually a print on demand shop that I had the intention of creating. And then I realized that print on demand was not for me. So now I just kind of have this blank Etsy shop. So I figured I would just use it to do tutorials and stuff. If you are wondering, I do not share my Etsy shop here on YouTube just because it can mess with my conversion rates. And I want to be able to share as authentically as possible and as realistically as possible how this whole experience goes and what it's like to have an Etsy shop and what the numbers look like. And for that reason, I do not share my Etsy shop here on YouTube. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click add listing, and then under category, this is an invite, so I'm just gonna go ahead and type in invite, and you will see a couple different options in here. This is an invitation template, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click invitation templates. And then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and click continue, and then you will have to fill out this part right here. So one of the number one things you need to make sure you do is you click digital files. If you don't click digital files, it will not give you a place to upload a file. And I get this question all the time. People are like, Etsy doesn't even give me an option to upload a file. It's probably because you created it as a physical item. So make sure you click digital files. And then who made it? I made it. It is a supply or tool to make things because it is a template. I made it recently, 2025, and then created by me, and click continue. Okay, perfect. So now we have the title right here. You will see it gives you 140 characters. I highly suggest you use all 140 characters for this part. The way that I like to structure titles is, first of all, you have to really get in the mind of your customer and understand what is your customer searching for. So you want to put what you think would be the top term that your customer would be searching for in the first part of the title. And I personally like to separate my title into several word phrases. I know a lot of people will do I think it's called long tail keywords, where their entire title doesn't have any commas or spacers or anything like that. It's just this run-on sentence. Etsy tells you not to do that, and honestly I just do whatever Etsy tells me to do and not to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in very first birthday invitation, because I think that is going to be the number one term that my buyer will be searching. And when you are creating your titles, the way that I kind of like to think about how you're phrasing things is you want to pair what your product is with adjectives that describe your product. So first, break down what is your product. It is an invite. It is an invitation. There's really not a whole lot of words to describe an invite. So I'm not going to worry about too much about creating some crazy synonyms for that. I'm just going to go ahead and use invite and invitation. And then some adjectives, right? So we can use printable, editable, and then we can go into kind of describing it. It's blue, it's blueberry theme, it's gender neutral. You kind of see where I'm going with this. And we're going to put the adjectives first, followed by what the product is. So after very first birthday invitation, I'm going to type in blueberry birthday party invite. Then I'm going to type in printable, gender neutral, first. I'm actually going to change first to be a 1 with an ST, just to have a variation of first. First birthday. I'm not even going to put invite or invitation after that, because some people might just type that in. We will also do berry sweet one. I think that is something else they might think of as a theme. I'm also going to type in berry first blueberry, because that is what I was searching for when I was looking for an invitation, because I was searching for berry first and all I was getting was strawberries. So I would think that after that, they might just type in blueberry after berry first. That does increase our title, so it's a little too long, so I need to delete something. I will go ahead, let's see. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete the word party. So that will give us 137 characters, which is long enough. And then I'm gonna go ahead and upload the photos that we created. Those will take a second to upload, so we will come back to that. Next, we're going to upload the digital file, which is going to be our download PDF. So this is where we inserted the Canva template link into those buttons so that the customer can access it. This is that part that I was saying that a lot of people say that they can't find because they forgot to upload their product as a digital product. Because if you do that, then this part won't be available right here. But because we did select digital product, we can go ahead and do that. Okay, so that is uploaded there. Now we are going to write our description. So the description can be as long as you'd like. I don't see any type of character limit here, and I've never hit any type of character limit. And in your description, you kind of want to reiterate what we went over in the listing photos, plus some more information on top of that. You want to put your disclaimers in here. Your description is also a place to enhance your SEO, so your search engine optimization. Basically, every word that goes into your listing will kind of guide Etsy of who to push out your product to. The description is probably the least important part behind your title and your tags. However, it still can make a difference, specifically in kind of those first couple of sentences. And just like with the listing photos, I would highly recommend you have some kind of description template so you're not having to rewrite it over and over again, because that would be very time consuming. And this is also a great place to use ChatGPT. So I actually have a ChatGPT prompt that I'm going to go ahead and put in, where I will just have to write out a couple things about the product, and then it will spit out an entire description that I can just copy and paste. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so I just copy and pasted the prompt in here. So it says, help me write an Etsy product description for a digital item. Here's info you need to write the description. And this is what I'm going to fill out right here. So I'm going to type in, the product is a berry first blueberry invitation, and it has a printable and mobile version included. The sizes included are going to be 5 by 7 inches for the printable version and 1080 by 1920 pixels for the mobile version. The editing software required is Canva, and they'll just need a free account. What can be edited is going to be the text for wording, font, color, sizing, placement. And then what can't be edited is going to be the size / orientation and graphics. And then that is all you need to fill out for this. You don't need to edit anything else down here. This is pretty much just telling ChatGPT what to write out. So I'm just going to go ahead and click enter, and it is going to give me my description. And then obviously I kind of want to read through it first just to double check it. One thing I will say is I don't like it when it adds all these emojis because I feel like it makes it less professional. So I'm just going to ask it to rewrite it without emojis, please. I always say please. All right, so then it will give me the same version, but without the emojis. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and paste this into my description. And I will actually include this prompt that you can put into ChatGPT in the description box of this YouTube video. So if you wanna use it for yourself, you totally can. I'm not gonna ask for your email or anything. It's totally free. I'm just gonna put it down there that you can use it yourself. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just paste that in there now. So all of the description is in there. And I'm going to scroll down, and this is where we are going to do our pricing. So people are always asking about pricing and pricing strategy. And honestly, my pricing strategy is to look at my competitors and price around average. If you are just opening your shop, which if you're watching this video, you probably are, and you're wondering if you should make your products super cheap so that you can start selling right off the bat and build some momentum, I don't necessarily think that works because digital products are a fairly low price, and the difference between a $3 product versus say a $6 product is only $3. And if someone likes the $6 product more than the $3 product, they're probably going to be willing to pay the couple extra dollars to get it because it's really not a huge price difference. With that being said, if you do want to toy around with lower pricing in the beginning, you are totally welcome to do that. I just can't say that it makes like a huge difference or anything. So in the invite space, I would say like an average price might be around $3 to $7. We're just going to go ahead and price this at $5, or let's do $4.99 to kind of make it feel cheaper for that pricing psychology. And then for the quantity, I always just do the maximum amount in here because it's a digital product. We don't have to worry about inventory or making sure that we have enough because we can literally just produce as many as they want. And the max you can put in is $999. So that is what I do for every single product. And then scrolling down, we have core details. We already filled that out at the beginning, so it already filled that in for us. And then we have our attributes, and Etsy actually says that attributes are very important for getting your product to show up in search. So if you can fill out the attributes, then do it. However, you don't want to have the attributes narrow your product down so that it can't be used in other use case scenarios. That might sound a little bit confusing, but what I mean by that is, let's say we created a matching product to go with this invitation where it's like a blueberry themed food label, right? So it's just like has blueberries on it and you can fill in the name of the food. This wouldn't be specific to a first birthday party. This could be used for any type of blueberry party theme. It could be for bridal showers, baby showers, weddings. I don't really know anyone that's in a blueberry wedding, but you get the point. You don't want to narrow yourself down to first birthday if that product can be applicable to other party types. But because our invite is very specific to a first birthday, we can go ahead and do that here. And then I'm going to fill out the primary color, which is blue. It doesn't really have a secondary color. And so this is what I was talking about, the occasion. So I'm going to go ahead and do first birthday. And now we are going to do the tags, another very important SEO area of your listing. And this can have a huge effect on who your listing is pushed out to. You want to format your tags in the same way that I was talking about the titles. So kind of having your descriptives or your adjectives, product type, or really anything else you can imagine that your customer would be searching for. And sometimes this has nothing to do really with the product itself. And so what I mean by that is someone might be searching gender neutral birthday theme, right? This doesn't exactly describe the product of a blueberry invitation. However, it is something that might be applicable to someone searching for a gender neutral theme. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start writing up our tags. We have 13 that we can use, and your tags must be less than 20 characters each. You could use ChatGPT to help you write these up. I feel like I've done this so many times, it's almost just faster for me to write them up myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. Okay, so I have all of my tags in here. As you can see, I did repeat some words. Ideally, if you can avoid doing that, that's better, but you don't want to just be fishing for random synonyms in order to do so. So honestly, I don't think it's a huge deal if you are repeating some words, but for the most part, you want to diversify it as much as possible. That way your product can be pushed out to as many people as possible. All right, so we have all of our tags done. We are getting close to the end. So scrolling down, really the only other things that we have to do is select our shop section. Which, like I said, this was a print on demand shop, so the only section I had was t-shirts. So we're going to go ahead and add a section, and we are going to label it invitations. Save that, so it'll be in that section. And then the last thing that you're going to select is whether or not you want your renewal to be automatic or manual. This part really confused me when I first opened my Etsy shop, because the fact that it says that it will automatically renew for 20 cents each time if you choose automatic, and it doesn't say anything about 20 cents when you choose manual. I thought like manual would be better because I wanted to save the 20 cents, but that's not actually the case. Even if you manually relist it, it will still charge you the 20 cents. And if you have it set to automatic, it will just do it for you. And what relisting means is that your listing essentially lasts for 4 months or until the listing sells out. So sells out of the quantity that you chose. And if you have it set to automatic, it'll essentially just keep your listing live automatically. Whereas if you have it set to manual, you will have to manually relist it. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself. I know it can be a little bit confusing. Personally, I choose automatic. I think you should choose manual if you are worried about having a listing that doesn't sell for 4 months and then you get charged 20 cents again for it to continue to stay live. Maybe you want to deactivate that listing. I personally don't do that. However, that is an option. But all that to say is personally, I choose automatic. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that. So everything is filled out now. Then like I said, I always come back to the photos at the end because they do take a minute to upload, but they're all uploaded now. And then you just want to go ahead and adjust your thumbnail if needed, but because we had our thumbnail perfectly designed in Canva, it looks great right here. I think that looks awesome and we don't need to move it around at all. Theoretically, you could move around your photos here, but because we created them in the order that we want them, they are all perfect the way that they are right here. So everything looks good. This is ready to list, and then we are just going to go ahead and click publish. There we go, publish, and our listing is officially live. All right, we made it. We created a brand new Etsy listing starting from the very beginning all the way until we published it. I know that was a lot of information to take in, but I hope that seeing the process from start to finish in action was helpful, because I know that there is so much more that goes into it than just the design process. And all of those little steps can be super tedious to figure out. So I hope this tutorial can help guide you in your own processes so that you can more seamlessly start your Etsy shop and start pumping out the listings. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions or videos that you would like me to create later, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!